Hello everybody. Whitemane just released their new Cataclysm private server Maelstrom 2 days ago, and I would like to share my first impressions with you today. I was very excited to check the server out, since I haven't played WoW for a while now, and the developing team behind Whitemane had shown promising skills on their past Wrath of the Lich King projects. Since Cataclysm was a whole new endeavor for them, I was very curious to see their spin on a private server expansion which is not quite as developed as the golden 3.3.5 servers. What you can currently see running in the background is my journey from level 1 to 80. Before we get to my first impressions on quests, economy and community, I would like to give you some general information about the features of the server and about the launch day. Maelstrom released on the 3rd of March 2023. It is a PvP Cataclysm realm. The game client and player classes are based on the 4.3.4 client patch with some quality of life changes that I'm going to cover in a bit. The in-game content is progression based, with the first rates currently still being locked. Listening to the community's feedback, they adjusted some release dates for certain content. This way they hopefully can ensure a balance between rushing to the endgame and players getting bored too fast. First raids will go live in about 2 weeks, as you can see in this draft posted on Discord. The launch itself was rather wild, with a lot of server crashes, restarts and emergency bug fixes. But I must give it to the dev team, even around 3 AM in the morning they were still going strong, fixing issues and posting regular updates. And except for the crashes, I have to say that the experience on Maelstrom has been very fun so far. If you are somewhat familiar with private server launches, you probably can imagine how things went. Around 3.5 to 4K players were online during Maelstrom's first hours, and currently it averages about 2.5 to 2.8K depending on playtime, with evenings in the European regions favoring higher peaks. After a few minutes I decided to log off and continue playing later that night. Some quests were very hard to complete because of the high player count and standard respawn rates, but thanks to almost instant dungeon group invites and non-stop battleground PvP, leveling was still a breeze. Dungeons like Sulfarak and Skolomance worked flawlessly. The questing experience in later areas was very pleasant as well. I didn't encounter any major issues facing even more complex quests. Every flight path being unlocked right from the start was also a very welcome quality of life feature. My first dungeon experience was still a mixed bag. I didn't notice any big issues in terms of scripts and boss fights. In Shadowfang Keep we were able to cheese the end boss with a bit of help of a sniping spot, but the ads found a way in the area eventually. So it's not pretty, but better than an encounter being completely abusable, I guess. Also, the silver amount that dropped was too high and I wasn't able to roll on leather gear as a hunter. I think somehow the game assumed that the heroic version of this dungeon was in place, despite the NPCs being low level. To be honest, seeing all this in combination with the crashes, it was a bit discouraging at first. I thought, if issues like that are prevalent on a live server, what other bugs might arise? But the dev team would soon regain my trust, because not even 1 hour later both issues would be resolved. And without spoiling the conclusion to this video already, in the end for me this dedication would outweigh the shortcomings of Maelstrom by a lot. Thanks to a racial shift feature and cross-faction play, the faction balance seems to be well established. Racial shift, by the way, is a quality of life feature aimed at balancing racial traits. If your class is available on another race, you are now able to swap to that race's trait. For example, if you choose to play Dwarf Hunter, you are now able to swap to the racial traits of a Night Elf or of an Orc. But if you play a Gnome Warlock, you are not able to swap to the racial traits of a Dwarf because, well, there isn't an option for Dwarf Warlock. Experience rates are currently set to ×3 from level 1 to 80 and ×2 until level 85. You will have the option to skip from level 60 to 80 and obtain a set of basic leveling gear to face the upcoming Cataclysm zones. According to the developers, TPC and Wrath content is playable, but they admitted that their focus was on providing a very good Cataclysm experience. So if you plan to play from 60 to 80 in the regular way, you might face some small issues there. To facilitate playing with higher experience rates, players will auto-learn abilities as they level up. This includes spells learned from quests and also writing skills, all the way up to Flight Master's license at level 80, allowing you to fly even through Azeroth without spending any gold. As someone who has been playing through World of Warcraft many times, this made the whole leveling process much more manageable and also enjoyable. While making this video, a lot of level 85 first achievements have been cleared already, so the shop with additional XP rate boosts will be available soon. The shop will also include the usual mounts, pets and quality of life services you can expect from a private server. None of the shop features are going to be pay to win though, like buying sets of armor or weapons or stuff along those lines. The developing team is currently discussing to introduce a character auction house, but as of yet no decision has been made. Profession rates will be ×1 with the option to instantly go from skill 300 to skill 450 should you choose to skip TBC and Wrath content. The professions work as intended, but I personally would have wished for at least ×2 rates. With every other aspect of the playthrough feeling so fast and smooth, trying to keep them up just slows you down by a lot. So, where does this leave us with Maelstrom exactly? Well, one word that came to mind looking back at the past 2 days on the server was potential. Maelstrom still feels quite rough around the edges, and at times reminds me of one big beta test. But then again, the team behind Whitemane responds so fast and thorough to a lot of requests and bug reports that I'm going to stay very optimistic. I personally think this server will become a great home to anyone interested in Cataclysm, and I really hope that not too many players get discouraged before it reaches that ambitious goal. I had a lot of fun so far and I'm looking forward to my way to level 85. This concludes my first impressions. I'm going to make a follow-up video going more in-depth about endgame content and the Cataclysm leveling zones. I just wanted to get this video out as soon as possible, so those of you that haven't been aware of the server get a chance to check it out while it's still fresh. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a rating and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.